All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, I did a video a while ago pertaining to Mr. Isaiah Thomas, the diminutive backup point guard, now of the Denver Nuggets, who made a list of his top 5 NBA point guards, and he left off Chris Paul. I did a video about it because I thought that was news that he would so flagrantly leave off Chris Paul. And on my list, I made a list of my top 5 point guards, and of course, Kemba Walker was not on it. But due to the astronomical early part of this current regular season, I am going to have to recalibrate my list and add Kemba Walker onto my list of top 5 NBA quote-unquote point guards. I say quote-unquote because these guys in the NBA right now, they're not even real point guards. They're really combo guards. They dominate the basketball. They pull up from 30. They take whatever shot they want. They normally take anywhere from 22 to 28 shots a game, and that's what they do. The Russell Westbrooks, the Steph Currys, the Damian Lillards, the Victor Oladipos, the Kemba Walkers. These guys, they take whatever shot they want, whenever they want. They're not really point guards. They're more combo guards. Either way, I am going to have to add Mr. Kemba Walker to that top 5 list because that is where he deserves to be. So they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Monday night saw another stellar performance by Hornets guard Kemba Walker, UConn, who scored 43 points against the Celtics. That was 2 nights after a 60-point night against Philly. Meanwhile,
Kemba Walker is one of the most unstoppable players on the planet. There's no doubt about that. Because of his quickness, when he gets hot from the outside, he's going to give you 40 plus.
Meanwhile, the Celtics suffered their 6th loss in the last 10 games as Gordon Hayward came off the bench and was held to 4 points. Fellas, was the bigger
And Michael Jordan is going to have to give this man his money.
story the kid from the Bronx, Kemba Walker, or the struggling Celtics?
That's right, Kemba's from the Bronx. He's right over there in Soundview.
Go ahead. It's Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
Put that camera on me, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Kemba Walker.
Well, first off, Stephen A. Smith, who the hell is Kemba? Who the hell is Kemba Walker? The brother's name ends with an A. His first name ends with an A, not an ER.
For the Charlotte Hornets has arrived. This brother...
Well, he's arrived for a while. Right now, he's starting to go from being a supporting actor to making a play for taking over that lead actor category in the NBA. That's really what he's doing right now. Because the way that he lit up Kyrie, he put Kyrie on notice. And Kyrie's going to have to watch himself because there's a couple of guards in the Eastern Conference that are on his ass. Kemba Walker's on his ass and Victor Oladipo is on his ass. And I mean right there with him.
Is special. Special. We've seen some of his skills before. We've seen explosions. But he dropped 60 against the Philadelphia Eagles and Jimmy Butler and those boys.
Well, damn, if he scores 60 points on the Philadelphia Eagles, he's really a talented athlete.
The game before, 76ers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. And then after that, he dropped 43 on Kyrie. He's fast. He's quick. He's got a nasty handle. He's got a pull-up J.
On top of all that, the man has a huge heart. Like, he plays with a lot of heart.
He can dance on you and one style. He can hit the 3. This dude ain't even 6 feet tall. This kid is something special. And oh, by the way, while we've been sitting around here talking about max dollars and $200 million contracts, Kemba Walker is in the last year of a deal paying him $12 million. $12 million. Now, there is no question that Michael Jordan, Mitch Kupchak, and those boys are going to take care of him. They're going to pay this man, and they got to pay this man. But if by some chance he decided he wanted to leave, I suggest Michael Jordan get on the phone with him or call him into the office, because he is MJ, and make sure he wants to commit to you. And if there's a question as to whether or not he is going to commit to you, you got yourself a dilemma.
Right, but you know what? Michael Jordan should have signed that man to an extension a couple of years ago. Because they were kind of holding him out, dangling him out there to be traded last year, and it made Walker feel a certain type of way. So now it looks like he's going to have this monster season, and he may end up screwing the Charlotte Hornets over on the back end. So Jordan better make sure that he has his tentacles reach out to Kemba Walker and his representation and find out exactly what they want to do and try to sign him to that max right now. That's what they need to do.
Because trading him ain't going to work because he's only making $12 million. So you got to talk about a sign and trade, all right? And even that ain't going to get you possibly the equitable compensation you would deserve. Kemba Walker is a star in this league. So much of a star, in fact, that I'm telling you right now, we've been talking about KD, unrestricted free agent. We've been talking about Kawhi Leonard, unrestricted free agent. We've been talking about Kyrie Irving. We need to start talking about Kemba Walker.
First off, Steve, once again, who the hell is Kemba? Just let me know who that is, and then we can move forward with this conversation.
A hell of a lot more. Because this kid's a star.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've been talking about Kemba Walker. What I say last year, what I say last year at the deadline, at the trade deadline for the Cleveland Cavaliers, the guy I said they should be targeting was Kemba Walker. The way I thought you could have made that deal happen was by taking Batum's contract, who seemed undermotivated, but would have been, I felt, much more motivated playing on a bigger stage. Cleveland last year was a big stage.
Batum's problem is Batum is one of those guys. He's a nice multi-positional player. You know, he's a guy who can guard three positions and play three positions, but he's not going to blow you out of the water. He's a little bit like a lowercase Boris Diaw. But Batum is not going to do anything that's going to take you over the hump unless you already have two superstars on your team.
Jay, what's going to give him up, though? Because of the $12 million.
Right, okay, but if you can get out of that Batum contract and you get draft picks and prospects, let me tell you what Kemba Walker, how I feel. I'm not saying he's exactly like this player, but I had the same sort of feeling. When Isaiah Thomas was in Sacramento, I used to talk about it on the radio all the time with Marcellus Wiley. Do people not see what's going on over there? Everyone was talking about Dragic at the time. Isaiah Thomas is killing people. Isaiah Thomas is a superb talent.
Right, but we already know what Isaiah Thomas always was, even before he got hurt. He was pretty much a superlative circus act. He was never going to be a person who was going to be a leading player on a championship level team. He maxed out in his last year with the Boston Celtics. He was never, ever, ever going to be able to replicate a year like that, even if he was fully healthy. He just wasn't.
He wound up signing for under $10 million a year.
I'm sorry. Oh, you mean Dan?
Because he's 5'9", Max Kellerman. Of course, if Isaiah Thomas goes out and averages 20 a game with the Sacramento Kings, they're not going to get more than $10 million a year. He can't guard anybody. So his 20 points are cheaper than the average 20 points. Even when you look at a guy like a Kyrie, Kyrie's going to give you 24 points a game. He's going to be big time in the fourth quarter for the most part. But Kyrie's not a great defender. So his 20 points is not worth as much as a 20-point player who's going to play great defense. It's just not. And that's how they evaluate those things. You look at a guy like Isaiah Thomas, he scores 21, 22 points. He's going to give up 25.
Yeah, back then.
Right now,
back then.
he's at 2.
Right, back then. Right. I'm saying this dude, because he's a little I think it was really undersized, but look what he can do offensively. Kemba Walker, I agree with you in terms of his having arrived it's like the last dragon, and he's got that glow right now. Right? Bruce Leroy, he's fit. He's always been excellent. Now he's in his prime doing.
I see that Max Kellerman also watches The Last Dragon. But, hey, you know, Max Kellerman grew up as a wigger white boy, so he's familiar with many of those movies.
Doing this stuff. But it's not like we couldn't see this coming. Kemba Walker is like a little mini Kyrie. He's been this great offensive player now for several years.
Kemba's like the Eastern Conference version of Damian Lillard. If he gets hot, he can give anybody 45, 50.
The bigger story is, in fact, the Celtics, who many felt, including you, were going to take the Golden State Warriors 7 games in the finals this season. Let me just say something.
I still feel that.
Okay. They're 9-8.
We'll see. I'm not going to jump off the Celtics bandwagon quite yet, even though there seems to be a discernible difference between them and the Toronto Raptors. We'll see. It's a long season. They've only played up to now, I believe, 18, 19 games. But they are going to have to make a major move. They are going to have to make a major trade and get rid of a couple of those wings because they have way too many wings on their team.
9-8 right now.
Yep.
You guys know once you get to the mid-20s, you actually know playoff seedings. It's almost always the same. Once you get to about 25 games played, the playoff seedings are basically known. They're 9-8.
Yep.
Boy, they better start winning right now because this team, I'm telling you right now, I picked the Toronto Raptors by a hair. There's a little space between in my prediction. The Toronto Raptors opened up a little gap between.
I agree. I like what I see from Toronto. They execute on a high level on the defensive end, especially with that monster Kawhi Leonard. I mean, he's just a monster.
Between them
agree with that. I agree with that.
I mean, imagine if Dennis Rodman averaged 25 points a game. That's like Kawhi Leonard.
That based on,
and when I say Dennis Rodman, I'm talking about Rodman from like 88, 89, that area.
Based on what we've been seeing thus far. Okay, even with Boston beating them the other night because Kyrie dropped 43, I still believe you. I still feel the way that you feel on that note for the moment. But I'm going to hold true to my prediction about the Boston Celtics, because I'm going to tell you what's holding the Boston Celtics back. We have raved and raved and raved time again about Brad Stevens, okay, who is a phenomenal young coach. That's what we have said. The bottom line is I'm not satisfied with what I've seen from them this year. They haven't figured it out. And I think a big reason is...
Steve, I disagree with you. I think that they have figured it out. What they figured out is that they want to give Gordon Hayward as much playing time as possible so that they can showcase him. I've been saying that since before the season. And a lot of people are quizzical as to why Gordon Hayward is getting so much playing time. It's because they have to squeeze as much juice out of that grape as they can because they're paying him before they can find a team that they can move him to. And that's the real issue with them right now.
Is because Brad Stevens taking care of his boy. You bring in Gordon Hayward along. You gave him $130 million in free agency. He got hurt 5 minutes into his career as a Boston Celtics. First game of the regular season last year against Cleveland. He's got 25-minute restrictions that you're playing him under now. I think to some degree, it's compromised Jason Tatum. It's compromised Jaylen Brown. Now, Kyrie...
I agree with that because neither one of those players are that dynamic in the half court. So a lot of the opportunities that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown had last season to get transition baskets, they're not getting now because Gordon Hayward is taking a lot of their shots. He's taking a lot of their opportunities in transition. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, I also think that some of you guys in the NBA professional media world are going to have to acknowledge that maybe Jason Tatum is not as great as you thought he was going to be. And I stated that as well coming into this season.
Kyrie Irving figures out that when you're the point guard, you have the ball in your hand in most situations. You get to dictate a little bit more than capitulate and wait. Those other guys, they have to fit them in. And I think that Brad Stevens will figure it out. I'm not knocking them.
Right, but Kyrie also has to do a better job of getting his teammates involved.
Because I believe in him. But I do think trying to re-ingratiate Gordon Hayward has compromised them to some degree.
Okay, we're on the same. A lot of people are on the same page, thinking Brad Stevens and these guys are too talented. They'll figure it out. But as of this moment, that's a bigger story than Kemba. Kemba is a great offensive player, and to say he's even better than he was because he's in his prime, okay, to me that's not a story like, duh, Kemba. Now, maybe you can argue he hasn't gotten enough shine in the past,
well, that's what
and
I'm
now
saying,
he's starting to get some shine.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, it's a little bit of that. He is starting to get a lot more shine, but he's getting more shine because he's improved as a player. So those two things tend to be correlated. Hard work is correlated with success, and success is correlated with exposure. That's how that works.
You're in Charlotte, you're not getting enough shine, and you're approaching free agency. And the reason why Kemba Walker deserves that shine is not because of his talent, it's because of where his talents can take him. I'm saying just imagine him on other teams. If we're imagining other players on other teams, imagine Kemba Walker on some of those teams.
What I'm saying about the Celtics, the reason it's a bigger story is the assumption that they're just going to figure it out. They did what they did in the playoffs last year without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. But without Kyrie, what it meant is the ball was moving more.
Right, but Max Kellerman, just knock it off. They played most of the season last year with Kyrie Irving, and they actually played better. All their numbers were better. Their win-loss percentage was better with him in the lineup last year. Their offensive efficiency was better with him in the lineup last year. Now, when he left, all their offensive numbers went down. Their defensive efficiency went up a slight degree. But what went their way in the playoffs is that they faced teams where most of the teams, they lacked what the Celtics lacked, that being experience, until they got to LeBron James. And that's where they got knocked out of the playoffs. Point being is this, let's not try to form this correlation between Kyrie Irving and the lack of success this year as opposed to last year, because last year set the precedent that they could be successful with Kyrie. The problem this year is that you have too many of those young guys who thought that they were going to be stars this year, and then you throw Gordon Hayward into the mix. So it's a lot of problems. You have Terry Rozier, who thinks that he should be starting on a team in the NBA. You have Jason Tatum, who's had his head blown up to make him think that he's going to be the new Alex English. You have Jaylen Brown strutting around the basketball court, and he thinks that he's going to be the next Kobe. All these guys' heads have blown up from last year because of what the media has been prognosticating about them. And then on top of that, you have a point guard in Kyrie who does not really want to play the point. He wants to take all the shots. So Kyrie, this is where Kyrie's basketball IQ has to come into the situation. Last year, it was okay for him to be more aggressive offensively because he was playing around a bunch of young guys who were in awe of him. This year, they're not. So he's going to have to adjust his game. That's what great players do when they're around a different environment. They adjust their game to make sure that they put their team in the best position to win. I've stated this numerous times on this channel already. The great Isaiah Thomas, I'm talking about the one from the Detroit Pistons. He used to average 22 and 12 assists every year in the early to mid 80s. They drafted Joe Dumars. They drafted John Sally. They brought in Adrian Dantley, Dennis Rodman, all those guys. And his points per game and his assists per game went down because he understood he had to move the ball more. His numbers went down to about 18-9 or 17-8, and they won championships. Kyrie's going to have to understand that. He's not a shooting guard. I don't care how much he likes to shoot.
Now, Hayward, what it meant was Tatum and Brown got more burn.
Fine. Let me switch it up then. What if Kemba was on the Lakers?
Who says he won't be?
No, I'm just asking you. No, I'm asking you. What if Kemba Walker? I'm saying when you see the link, when you see the Kuzmas of the world, the Ingrams of the world, not to say that Ingram will be there, when you see LeBron being there, what have you, what if Kemba Walker was the one bringing the ball?
Let me ask you this.
What if Kemba Walker was the one running around?
I got another question for you.
Right, but is Kemba Walker as good a pure shooter as Kyrie Irving even? And we don't consider Kyrie a pure shooter per se, but I think that he's a better pure shooter than Kemba is. Kemba's more of a streak shooter. I could see LeBron getting very frustrated with Kemba, especially in big moments, because Kemba's not a big dude, so he's not a great defender. And he's far streakier from the outside than a Kyrie.
Let's say the Lakers' plan is to pump up Lonzo and Ingram because ultimately they want to keep Hart and Kuzma, even though the other two may have more upside. And they find they can't get AD for a package like that, and they can't get any of the guys they want for a package like that, and they want to be attractive to other free agents. And remember, because Kemba's only making $12 million right now, you don't have to give him the contract first. You keep your salary low, sign another max player, then you can give Kemba the contract. Let's say there was an Ingram Lonzo deal for Kemba, undersized Kemba. You lose a lot of defense.
Ingram, Lonzo, I wouldn't mind that. Here's my problem, twofold. Number one, Mitch Kupchak, former general manager for the Lakers, is now running the show in Charlotte. Michael Jordan's going to lean on him to make those kind of decisions.
But that's a big package for Kemba.
But I will tell you this. I wouldn't do it because Kemba, to me, is box office.
Yes, he is box office, and that's a great point by Stephen A. Smith. Why would you trade Kemba Walker for Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram? Are those two guys that you think you could build your team around? I don't see that from either one of them. I think that Brandon Ingram's going to be one of these 18 and 7 guys for his whole career. That to me is what he's going to be because his jump shot is not dependable enough. He's not a dead-eye jump shooter like KD. I think Ingram at his best will probably have one great year or great season where he averages about 23 a game. Other than that, I see him for the most part over the course of his career being about 18 points per game, 19 point per game guy. He's not somebody who's going to change your team. And Lonzo, to be honest with you, I'm not even quite sure that Lonzo wants to play in the NBA. He looks burnt out.
Coming box office.
But I
don't believe Ingram and Lonzo in Charlotte. I don't know.
Defensively, Kemba Walker's undersized. Lonzo and Ingram give you a lot of defense. And listen to this Lakers lineup. Kemba, Hart, Kuzma, and LeBron.
Lots of defense and ugly basketball in Charlotte. I don't see what Charlotte gets out of that.
I agree.
I wouldn't lose Kemba for that. I wouldn't lose Kemba for that.
For Lonzo and Ingram?
That's right. Did I stutter? That's exactly what I said.
I agree with you, Steve. Max Kellerman's trying to make it look like, oh, you're getting back Lonzo and Ingram. Who has either one of those players on their whiteboard and is looking across at their assistant GM and saying, man, if we can get these guys, we can change our future? Nobody's saying that shit.
Question as to who says no to that deal, I believe is the Lakers.
Oh, no. I can assure you, if the Lakers had an opportunity to get Kemba Walker for Ingram and Lonzo, I can assure you, I'd be shocked if Magic Johnson didn't do that.
Both sides do the deal. It's good for you.
Please. I don't know if that's good for Charlotte.
It's good for Charlotte.
I'd have to have a conversation with MJ about that.
So they're going to lose Kemba for nothing.
I'm not sure.
Michael Jordan would not greenlight that trade. At least I doubt it, but he seems to be more hands-off when it comes to the team. I'm sure that he'll let Mitch Kupchak handle it, but I think that Michael Jordan would red light that deal if it was up to him. But, I mean, you never know what's going to happen.
You're going to lose Kemba for nothing.
Who says you're going to lose him? You might be.
If you're Kemba, you want to stay there, not win for the rest of your career?
He might stay. He said he wants to stay.
No.
He said he wants to stay.
If they supermax him, you're going to give him the supermax? Is Jordan going to give him the supermax?
If I'm Jordan, I would give him the supermax. You're the Charlotte Hornets. You're not going to lure in any other top free agents. At least give the Charlotte fans somebody to watch. You're going to win something like 40 to 45 games a year at the most. You can go there and watch a Kemba Walker and have an Allen Iverson type experience watching him play.
Charlotte, I doubt that.
Right. So if you're not going to give him the supermax, why would he stay?
You give him 175 million.
Someone else might too?
75 million.
Who leads the NBA in scoring?
Right now? Let's see.
Kemba!
Yes.
Oh,
right.
come on, guys. You're supposed to put a nice
That would
bow
be
on
my-
that and wrap it up.
But you know what? That's Exhibit A in regards to Kemba Walker and how far he still has to go to be recognized as a top-level point guard. But due to the season that he's having, I'm going to put him in my top 5. I had a lot of brothers say, you should have Kemba in there, and they're right. But, of course, Isaiah Thomas made those comments prior to this NBA season. So when I gave my list, that was prior to this season. But Kemba is shooting up with a bullet in regards to top NBA quote-unquote point guards, really top NBA combo guards. But I have to put him top 5 right now.
Well, when I just flew from
Where did he
LA,
go to college?
you started the
Wait, ask
show
the
off.
question
You
again.
started the
Where
show
did
UConn.
Kemba go to
You
college?
started
There
the
we
show
go.
off
Ask the
talking about I
question
flew from LA and I ain't getting no sleep, and you gonna ask me a question like that? I mean, damn.
Who leads the NBA in
I mean,
scoring?
I'll know it
Kemba
now.
Walker.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, we're so smooth here. It wasn't a warm...
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see how things turn out for Mr. Kemba Walker. Hopefully everything turns out well. So peace.